First up here on the final trading day of the year, we're going to take a look at some of the most volatile names in the S&P 500. Topping the list this year, Supermicro, which surged to a record high in March on the back of a booming AI product. But after the company's auditor resigned shares, let me repeat that. After SMCI's auditor resigned, shares of the company plummeted more than 80%. Other volatile names include Palantir, Tesla, and solar equipment maker Enphase. Now, what's really interesting here about SMCI and that I was just thinking about here is that I believe the company was up over 600% over the last 2 years, despite some of that extreme volatility. Obviously, that is not the case for SMCI year to date here. Certainly seen a different story when it comes to the stock, up just about 7% year to date, but soaring over 1,200% over the last 5 years. As part of that AI demand-driven story here, but then questions about the company's accounting measures really throwing cold water on that. And then we also haven't necessarily seen the executive changes that the street was looking for. Yes, their auditor did resign and they were able to work with a new accounting firm, but there were some calls on the street that there needed to be even bigger kind of capitulation from executives on the SMCI team. But I know we're also looking at some other volatile stocks on the year. Seana.
Yeah, Maddie, when you take a look at some of those other names, you've also got Palantir and you also have Tesla among the top three there. And then beyond that, we've actually saw Enphase is on your screen as well. Beyond that, though, many of the chip makers, when you take a look at Broadcom, NVIDIA, AMD, Intel, they were also among the top 25 most volatile stocks that we have seen in the S&P last year. So how do we measure this? It's compiled by measuring how far prices are varying here from the average. So that's really how this list was created, just to give you a little bit better context in terms of some of those, how far some of these stocks had been trading here over the last 12 months from their average. When you take a look at Palantir, clearly that stock has had a meteoric rise, to say the least, over the last 12 months. It was just added to the S&P 500 in September. So again, it's important to cushion that there. But then in addition to Palantir, you talk a lot about Tesla. That was a stock that has certainly been volatile, to say the least. We have gone, if you look at the right-hand side of your screen, ever since the election and Musk and Trump and their partnership and friendship and the role that Musk is going to play in the incoming Trump administration has been enough to stoke some of the excitement surrounding Tesla here over the last 2 months. And you have seen staggering year-to-date gains here in that name, a name that have been struggling here as part of the Mag 7 here prior to then. So again, when you take a look at these names, many of them are tech. Many of them are within the AI trade, and I think that very much just tells us about how investors are viewing some of those investment opportunities right now, the risk associated it when you talk about the risk on trade or risk assets and some of the volatility that we should then also be prepared to see carry into the new year as well, and just beyond what we've seen over the last 12 months.
And you mentioned Palantir. That was one of the top 3 performing stocks year to date for a while, but then we saw that stock kind of dropping off in recent weeks here and be replaced by the likes of Vistra, that is the best performer of the year, followed by NVIDIA. So it's been interesting to see some of those names really outperforming and then coming off of that just a little bit here.